Losing weight and building muscle is the goal for 80% of people who spend time in the gym. But unfortunately, most people just take this approach completely wrong. There's actually a term for this, and it's called body recomposition, changing the amount of muscle mass that you have to body fat. And if you approach this incorrectly, you could waste your precious time that you're spending in the gym and in the kitchen. A common belief for most people is that you either have to bulk or eat in a calorie surplus, or cut, eat in a calorie deficit in order to see changes in your body. So you cut to lose weight and you bulk to build muscle. But the reality is you can do both at the same time if you do it correctly. I know this because I've been in the gym working out for over 18 years myself. I've also been coaching individuals, helping them lose body fat and build muscle for over 8 years. And I've helped this person do this, her do this, and him do this. So I know this is possible. And not only do I know, but also the research backs it up. Today, what I want to do is give you 11 practical tips and things you need to know if your goal is losing weight and building muscle. The first thing is you have to understand what high protein actually means. If you go into the grocery store nowadays, you'll see a bunch of different products that have the label high protein, high protein, high protein on it. But what does it mean for something to be high protein? Your goal every time you eat is that you eat a meal that is high in protein. So an easy way to figure out if something is actually high in protein is you look at the amount of grams of protein that the item has and you compare it to the amount of calories that it has. So our ideal ratio is 1 gram of protein for every 10 calories in a given meal. So let's say, for example, you're eating a meal that is 40 grams of protein. Ideally, what we do is we add a 0 to the end of the grams of protein, and we want the calories to be around 400 calories. If it is under that, that's even better. If it is over that, that's something we need to double check and make sure it's correct. So I want to give you a couple different items that are high in protein. So for example, whey protein has 20 grams of protein per every 100 calories, high protein. Greek yogurt has 17 grams of protein per every 100 calories. So if we take the 17 grams of protein, we add a 0, that's 170 calories. So we want the Greek yogurt to be under 170 calories to be considered high protein. Salmon, 11 grams of protein for 100 calories. Chicken breast, 22 grams of protein for 100 calories. Eggs, which people think are high in protein, they're not super high. This is why you want to add egg whites when you do eat eggs. 6 grams of protein for every 100 calories. And another item that people think is high in protein, but it's not, is peanut butter. Peanut butter has 4 grams of protein for every 100 calories. Now that doesn't mean you never can eat peanut butter again. It's just an important fact to know. So you need to eat a diet that is higher in protein, ideally 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of your goal body weight or your current body weight in order to build muscle while you're trying to lose body fat at the same time. Number 2 is you focus on what's called the Nutrition Trifecta. So you use calories to lose weight, you use macros to improve your physique, and you use micros, aka micronutrients, to improve your mental and physical health while optimizing your appetite and hunger. So most people, when they're on a fitness journey, all they care about is eating less, dropping my calories. Others, individuals, yes, they care about decreasing the calories, but then they just focus on macros. They're like, I need to hit my protein goals. But a big thing that a lot of individuals overlook on their fitness journey is the importance of micros. So micronutrients are essential nutrients that your body needs in small amounts to function properly. Unlike macros, which are proteins, carbs, and fats, which are needed in large quantities for energy and growth, micros are primarily involved in supporting your body's functions. So think about your immune system. Think about your bone health. Think about fluid balance, cellular repair. So there's 2 different types of micronutrients. So we have vitamins and we have minerals. So vitamins would be things like vitamin A or vitamin D or vitamin B or vitamin C. Minerals are things like calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, aka salt, or even iron. And the reason why your micronutrients are so important is think about if someone is iron deficient. If you have an iron deficiency, that could lead to things like anemia or even fatigue. And if I'm tired, how am I gonna be able to lose body fat and build muscle? If you have a vitamin D deficiency, that could lead to things like depression. If you're depressed, think about how difficult it's gonna be for you to stay motivated to show up to the gym. And the best way to get in micronutrients is gonna be through things like fruits, veggies, dairy, meat, fish, nuts, etc. So you focus on calories to lose weight, you focus on macros, proteins, carbs, and fats to improve your physique and how you look, and then you focus on micros to improve how you feel internally. Number 3, free weights are not better than machines. I used to believe this for so long. I used to never touch the Smith machine. I used to never touch machines. I used to, even when I was in high school, make fun of people who would only do machines. And me only doing free weights actually ended up hurting me more than it helped me. I used to only do barbell bench press and barbell deadlift, and that worked when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, and now I'm in my 30s, I've realized you have to use a good balance of free weights, dumbbells, barbells, as well as Smith machines and machines. And there's oftentimes instances where the machines will be more beneficial than doing the free weights. So I used to be like this free weight person. I was like, I would only spend time in the dumbbell and barbell section. Then I got hurt. Then I get injuries. Free weights are great at building muscle, but machines are great at being able to go to failure while decreasing your chances of injury. So especially for those people who are 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus, and you're looking to really improve your physique and not get injured, you should have a good balance of machines to free weights. Now, I don't think you should do one or the other. I think the best program is a program that encompasses and utilizes both at the same time. Because if your goal is losing weight and building muscle at the same time, one of the biggest things that's going to hinder your ability to make progress is getting injured. I personally have had over 5 orthopedic surgeries in my body. I had an elbow surgery. I had 2 feet surgeries on my right foot, 2 on my left foot. So I know a thing or two about injuries, and those things can set you back more than anything else. Number 4, you have to learn delayed gratification more than anybody else. If your goal is losing weight and building muscle at the same time, your progress is going to be slower than someone who's just looking to lose weight. The difference is when you're looking to lose weight, all you got to do is decrease your calories, right? Because we focus on calories for weight loss. But now that you're trying to lose weight and build muscle, you're not only focusing on calories, you're also focused on macros, and you're also focused on micros. You're not going to see changes immediately like you would if your goal is only weight loss. So what this means is you have to embody the traits of delayed gratification. And another way that I like to look at this is aggressive patience. So you need goals, you need plans, and you need daily inputs and habits. So first you need to set a goal. If it's a weight loss goal, then you set a target weight. If it's a fat loss goal, then you need to set a target body fat percentage. Losing weight and building muscle is not good enough goals. You have to actually have measurable goals. If it's not measured, it can't be managed. So what that means is if my goal is just, oh, I want to get in shape, or I want to lose some weight, or I want to get 6-pack abs, that is a goal that you can't measure over time. So you have to have a target body fat percentage, you have to have a target weight, and you have to have target weights you're looking to lift in the gym. This way you can know if you're on track with your goals or not. It's going to take you not just weeks to get to your goal if your goal is to lose weight and build muscle. It might take months, and it might even take a year or longer. And that's totally okay. You have to learn that the work you put in today will lead to the body you see tomorrow. And so it's going to take time, and you have to have patience. And most people, unfortunately, on a losing weight and building muscle journey don't have enough patience to see it through long term. So you have to devise a plan to hit your goal. So what's your meal schedule? What are your calories? What are your macros? What workouts are you committed to? How many days per week can you work out? You have to get very detail oriented, because if you're not focused on the inputs, the daily action steps you need to take, you'll end up losing motivation. Then you need to set a short list of habits you're going to commit to on a daily basis. Hitting your protein minimums, your daily step goals, and you're also going to have to set behaviors you're committed to doing every single week that will lead to the better version of yourself. Number 5, eating breakfast is more optimal than skipping it if your goal is losing weight and building muscle. People who just want to lose weight, they can skip breakfast all they want. But the simple act of eating a nutrient-dense, high-protein breakfast has been a game changer for not only myself, but also the individuals I get to work with who have this goal. And here's why. When people skip breakfast, it's easy for you to hit your calorie goals, but it's hard for you to hit your protein goals. And odds are, you probably have 150 grams of protein, maybe even 200 grams of protein like myself to eat in a day. And if I'm missing a meal, I'm only eating, let's say 2 meals or 3 meals in a day, it's gonna be really hard to hit your protein goal. So if you're someone who struggles hitting protein, then you need to eat a high protein, nutrient dense breakfast. Before, I thought intermittent fasting was the best. And like you should skip breakfast because it's gonna help you have more calories to eat later on. But what I found is that actually hurts more people than it helps. It works for some, but not for all. So instead, what I want you to do is eat 30 to 50 grams of protein before 12 p.m. What I've personally found is that when I do eat a high protein breakfast of 30 to 50 grams of protein before noon, my energy is better, I have less of an appetite and less cravings throughout the day. So some examples of good high protein breakfasts are gonna be a protein shake. You could even do a double scoop of protein shake, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, eggs, or even steak. Number 6, when you're losing weight, your focus in the gym is on building muscle, not weight loss. So when you go to the gym, you focus on building muscle, and then you focus on weight loss, AKA fat loss, when you're outside of the gym. Most people go into the gym and they focus on how many calories their Apple Watch says they burned, or how much they're sweating, or how much they're huffing and puffing and their lungs burning. But the reality is that accounts for a very minimal part of fat loss, because most of fat loss happens when you're not at the gym. So when you go to the gym, your number one focus isn't calories burned, it's not sweat dripping off your face, it is weights lifted. Use progressive overload to your advantage so you can keep, if not build, muscle while you're leaning out. So what this does, this helps your metabolism stay healthy, and it allows you to eat the same amount of food even when dropping a ton of weight. If you only focus on cardio or burning a ton of calories when you go to the gym, your body becomes resistant to that. So all of those cardio bunnies out there, the people who just go to the gym and they just walk on the treadmill or they just go on the elliptical, eventually your body adapts and you have to do more and more and more. And that's why a lot of people hit plateaus on a weight loss journey. Now here's how you progressive overload. Progressive overload isn't just about progressively adding more weights. That's the main way we do it, but not the only way. Progressive overload also means increasing reps. So maybe I go from 10 reps to 12 reps with the same weight. Maybe I increase sets. So I go from 2 sets to 3 sets. Maybe I increase my intensity levels. Maybe I increase my form, or maybe I even increase the speed in which I'm lifting the weights. So if there's some weights in the gym that you know you just can't lift heavier, then what I would recommend doing is, what would it look like for you to lift those weights faster with good form? Number 7, know your numbers, baby. If you don't know the numbers you're tracking, it's gonna be really hard to not only stay motivated, but stay on track with your goals. So there's 3 different levels of tracking your numbers when you're trying to lose weight and build muscle. Level 1 is weighing in daily, tracking the inches on your waist, and taking weekly progress photos. So that is the bare minimum of what you should be doing right now if your goal is losing weight and building muscle. Level 2 is getting blood work. So if you do end up getting blood work, I recommend getting blood work anywhere from, I would say, every 4 to 6 months, twice a year for most people is gonna be fine. And then also tracking your overall body composition through a DEXA scan, which you could do either once or twice per year. That's the second level. But unfortunately, what most people do when they're trying to track their progress is they only weigh themselves and they only step on the scale, which is a terrible way just to track progress. And even worse, they don't weigh themselves on a regular cadence. So they step on the scale just when they feel like it. They step on the scale when they feel like it might give them a good number. You should be stepping on the scale 7 days per week. Where focus goes, energy flows. So what I found for myself personally is, even if I step on the scale and it's not a number that I like, I still get more motivated to put in more work. And so if you're only weighing yourself, let's say Monday, Thursday, Friday, and it's random days, you're not gonna be able to track how your weight is progressing. So when weighing yourself, don't just take the daily weigh-ins, but take the weekly averages. You weigh in 7 days per week, you take the average of those 7 days, and that is your weekly weigh-ins, because weight fluctuations are completely normal on this progress. Level 3, this is optional, but you can get like calcium scores for your heart. You can also get an MRI screen to check for cancer every single year. If you're someone who's older or you're at a higher risk of cancer, that's something you're worried about. Number 8, give up your perfectionism mindset. Making mistakes isn't just a potential on this journey, it is a part of the journey. I don't expect you to be perfect. I don't expect you to follow the plan without any deviance. I expect you to mess up. And the difference between people who are able to see success on their losing weight and building muscle journey and the others who quit is it's all about the way that you respond when you mess up. So especially if you want to be sustainable over time, and especially if you have a lot of other things you're juggling in life, you have to be able to respond positively to failure. There's no such thing as losses, there's only lessons. So if you have a bad meal, if you miss a daily weigh-in, if you wake up past your alarm, if you miss that workout you know you're supposed to do, how do you respond to that? Do you take it as a loss and you beat yourself up and you tell yourself you suck, you knew it wouldn't work, etc.? Or do you say, what is the lesson from this? And you bounce back and you learn from the mistake you made so you don't make it again. If you're someone who struggles with perfectionism, I want you to follow my 2x2 rule. And here's what this means. You never allow one bad decision or one mistake to turn into 2. And so if you sleep in and hit the snooze button one day, you don't do it the next day. If you have one bad meal and you messed up one night, you don't mess up the next night. So you are okay with making one mistake, but you're not okay with making 2. Number 9, you need to ignore the noise on social media. The average person tries 126 diets in their lifetime. Don't be average. Stick to your plan. If you actually want to see results in your body, you can't be jumping from plan to plan, from workout split to workout split, from diet to diet. You have to actually be fully all in and committed to your goals. If you have 1 foot in and 1 foot out on your plan will fail. Because that 1 foot in, 1 foot out mindset is not a mindset that is all in. And if your goal is losing weight and building muscle, you gotta be all in on this thing for a long period of time, because you have to have that delayed gratification. So you might even have to unfollow or stop watching things on social media that you know are distracting you or confusing you. So a lot of the times on social media, you'll see a lot of conflicting information. So what I recommend doing is find a couple people that you trust, that you look at, you're like, I can follow that person, that makes sense. And you only listen to that individual, a couple of individuals, and you just ignore the rest. Because fat loss is simple, but it does take work. And my key principle with weight loss, muscle building, and developing a healthy lifestyle is simple scales, complex fails. So if you look at a diet and you can't really understand how it works, or you can't really explain it to your kids or to your coworkers or friends, the odds are you're probably not gonna be able to follow it long term. If the diet has a million different restrictions and things you have to do in order to adhere to it, you can't eat at this time, you can't have this food, you can't do this, blah, 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 blah. You're probably not gonna be able to stick to it long term. Simple scales, complex fails. Number 10, fix your environment first and then fix your lifestyle. This goes from the foods you keep in your kitchen to the friends you keep in your circle. So if you truly want to get better at eating, go look at your fridge and remove the foods that don't align with the future body you're trying to create. If you want to be more motivated to go to the gym and not go eat fast food all the time, stop spending time with people who do that. Like, one of my favorite ways to shift your environment is go to a gym that inspires you. One of the things that changed my entire fitness journey was when I switched gyms. I switched gyms and I started hanging around people who had physiques that I admired and that I wanted to be like, and I would see them every single day. So you need to either be in a gym, a fitness community, or be surrounded by people who are living a fit lifestyle. If all the people in your life live an unhealthy lifestyle, it's gonna be very challenging for you to stay consistent on your journey long term. You wanna create an environment that sets you up for success. And so maybe that looks like throwing the cookies away in your pantry. Maybe that looks like getting rid of the alcohol out of your house. Maybe that looks like getting rid of the IPAs and the beers in your fridge, but you have to change your environment if you wanna change your life. Number 11 is you get accountability. So I remove the negative influences in my life and I add positive influences in my life. So you need to have accountability from not just people that are close to you, but someone who's gonna tell you what you need to hear, not what you wanna hear. So this could be a coach, this could be a mentor, this could be a trainer, this could be a friend. All I care is that this individual is not afraid to tell you what you need to hear. Because a lot of us have people in our lives that tell us what we wanna hear, and they pat our backs when things aren't going our way, but we don't have the people who are gonna check us. And even myself, I need people who are gonna check me. So I have people that hold me accountable in not just my fitness goals, but also in business, also with my relationship with God, and also in my marriage. And so accountability has been something that has massively changed my life, and I know it's gonna change yours. So if your goal is losing weight and building muscle right now, the top thing you need to do is you need to build delayed gratification. Another thing that's really important is as you're eating in a calorie deficit and you're tracking your food, don't eat in too big of a calorie deficit. When you're trying to lose weight and build muscle, is to lose weight at a gradual speed. That way you can give your body the adequate fuel and the adequate protein. When your goal is losing weight and building muscle at the same time, you cannot eat in too big of a calorie deficit. This is why the delayed gratification part is so important, because you're gonna lose weight slower than other people, but you have to do it that way. If you lose weight too quickly, you will not give your body the fuel it needs to be able to build muscle. And you'll end up looking skinny, but you won't end up looking fit, which is a big difference. So I eat in a slight calorie deficit, so maybe 200 to 300 calorie deficit. And what this does is this gives me enough room to be able to still hit my protein goals, so I could hit it hard at the gym to progressive overload to continue to build muscle. People that have a higher body fat percentage will have an easier time building muscle while losing weight than people who are at a lower body fat percentage. The reason for that is, let's say you're 25%, 30% plus of body fat. When you are losing weight, your body can pull energy from your stored body fat that you currently have. When you are at a lower body fat percentage, let's say 15% body fat for men, maybe 20% or lower for women, there's not much places for your body to pull energy from when you're already eating in a calorie deficit. So that's another thing to take into consideration, is where your starting body fat percentage is right now. If you're at a higher body fat percentage, you'll have an easier time building muscle while losing weight. If you are at a lower body fat percentage, you will have a more challenging time losing weight and building muscle at the same time. But it absolutely is possible. Make sure you subscribe. If this was valuable to you at all, there's 2 ways you could support so I can keep providing value to you on a regular basis. Way number 1 is you could actually follow the channel, which helps you get regular notifications on when new content is coming out. Way number 2 is you could actually engage on this. So you could like, you could follow, you could leave a review, and that really helps big time the channel reach new ears and new listeners.